Hello and welcome to the ICMR NIE's online course on causal inference from observational studies, NISA 201. Welcome back to the topic Logic and Logistics of Cohort Studies. In this session, I will be talking about outcome ascertainment. In a cohort study, it is possible to investigate multiple health outcomes. The surveillance, initially focused on one outcome, can be expanded to include multiple outcomes without requiring additional resources. This approach allows us for a comprehensive understanding of the health effects resulting from a particular exposure. For example, in studying tobacco smoking within a cohort, we can explore a range of outcomes such as lung cancer, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, emphysema, cardiovascular disease, tuberculosis, and more. An important question to ask is whether the follow up is long enough for outcomes to occur. So, deciding the duration of follow up to assess outcomes is crucial in a cohort study. The follow up period needs to account for the induction time, which is the interval between the time of action of a component cause and the time of initiation of disease, or simply the time between the exposure and the disease onset. For instance, diseases like leukemia caused by radiation, they may have a long induction period, requiring an extended follow-up to capture relevant outcomes. Many cohort studies use passive methods like registries, vital registration, or surveillance systems to ascertain the outcomes of interest. These methods are less resource intensive compared to personally contacting the cohort members. We could also measure the outcomes of interest through self administered questionnaires sent regularly to all cohort members, personal interviews, or by regular physical examination of all cohort members. So, whatever the method we choose, it is vital to ensure that the method of data collection is used identically for participants who are exposed and those not exposed. The most labor intensive and gold standard method for collecting data on health is a periodic medical examination. To prevent observer bias, it helps if the person gathering the data or determining the outcome does not know the participant's exposure status. If blinding is not an option, if we cannot blind the outcome assessor, we can evaluate bias by comparing process measures between groups. For example, we can look at the frequency of observations, who conducted them, and how thorough the observations were. A single assessment of outcomes in a cohort study is simpler, but it comes with a lot of limitations. It doesn't account for observation time and is susceptible to bias due to loss to follow up. On the other hand, regular assessments are more challenging but offer many advantages. They measure observation time, reduce bias from loss to follow up, and enable the calculation of incidence density. In the next few slides, I will walk you through three cohort studies and discuss how the outcomes were measured in these studies. A national cohort study conducted in England assessed the risk of cerebral venous thrombosis, other venous thrombosis, or thrombocytopenia after COVID 19 vaccination by linking the hospital admissions due to these conditions with the National COVID 19 Immunization Register using NHS numbers. Hospital inpatient admissions and their outcomes were captured in a national electronic database called Secondary Users Services, simply called as SUS. So, this database keeps track of completed hospital stay in all NHS hospitals in England, and they provide timely updates with ICD-10 codes. In this database, each admission can have up to 24 ICD-10 diagnosis fields, with the first field indicating the main reason for admission. Between 30th November 2020 and 18th April 2021, patients of all ages with an ICD-10 diagnosis code that indicated an admission for cerebral venous thrombosis, non-cerebral venous thrombosis, or thrombocytopenia were identified as those with the outcome of interest in this study. The next study, the very famous Framingham Heart Study, identified new coronary events by examining the study population every 2 years. In addition, the study also conducted daily surveillance of hospitalization in the only hospital in Framingham town. The third study, it's called as lifespan study, was conducted in Hiroshima and Nagasaki to investigate the long-term effects of atomic radiation among atomic bomb survivors. The study accessed official family registration system in Japan to document vital events. For individuals who have passed away, their death certificates were examined and the cause of death was noted. Information on cancer incidence was gathered by linking with the local cancer registries until 2015, and from then on it was linked with the National Cancer Registry. Further, periodic health examinations were conducted in a clinical subcohort which included routine medical checkups for lifestyle related and other diseases, and from these cohorts even the blood and urine samples were collected. To summarize, cohort studies allows the investigation of multiple health outcomes, offering a comprehensive understanding of the effects of a particular exposure. Deciding the follow-up duration is crucial considering the induction time for diseases. So whatever the method we choose for collecting outcome data, it is important to ensure the data collection procedures are identical for exposed and unexposed participants. Thank you. See you in the last session of this topic, strengths and limitations of cohort studies.